Hey y'all. Good evening. Good evening. We're gonna talk about this big Negro scam. I was watching. I didn't watch the Oscars, but I've been hearing about it, and I remember back in the day. Zoe Saldana may be a little older than me, but I remember I thought she was black, and there was a movie called Center Stage, a dance movie. I was one of them dudes that was in the dance movies. My mom and them had me watching Fame, and I mean, I'm not, I'm gonna be real. I like that shit. No cap. And my generation dance movie was Save the Last Dance and Center Stage. And I thought Center Stage was bomb. I used to have the DVD. You got served. My lady said, "You don't forget you got served." One of my friends was in it was another dance movie that one of my high school friends, she's very famous now, Jessica Pruitt. She's a very famous actress. I can't think of the name of the movie she was in now. But anyway, that's beside the point. The point is uh I watched Center Stage and I kind of had a slick crush on Zoe Saldana. I thought she was kind of, you know, she was up my alley. That was my shit back then. And then I was watching the interview. This the early 2000s. I was a young man. I thought she was a black girl. I thought she was FBA. I was sure that she was FBA. I was sure that she was a sister. She kind of reminded me of that girl, that other real cute girl off of Saved by the Bell. Y'all remember Lark Voorhees, the one that kind of lost her mind? Fine as hell. That was my thing. Brown skin. Anyway, you get the point. But I was watching the interview with Zoe Saldana. I kind of slick became obsessed with her for a minute, and then she was like, "No, I'm Dominican." Somebody asked if she was black, and she got some nasty ass attitude. So I saw that years, damn, may have been 20 years ago when I saw her get a nasty attitude. Well, this is the issue that me and my colleagues was talking about. What is the one big Negro scam? Well, this shit is deep. I know it looks like funny, but it's really deep. The big Negro scam is particularly people coming over here from the diaspora saying they're black to check boxes to go to our fucking schools, to go to medical school, to go to law school, to go to graduate school. And then when they get to where they need to go, all of a sudden I'm Dominican or
And
go
professor,
ahead, bro. Who is it? Who's
another reason why they say they black is if they want to jump their criminality and activity onto our
Well,
people, to our people
hold
below.
on, hold on, bro. Let's establish the the foundation of the argument first, before we go start building the roof. Well, back to the foundation of the premise of the argument. The big Negro scam is uh people coming over here from the diaspora pretending to be black to get where they need to go and then turning on the black community once they get established. Let me give you a really good example of this that caught a lot of us by off guard. Who in here remembers her? I think that's what she calls herself, the singer Her. Um, Up here singing FBA music, working with FBA artists, making good music. Actually, shit bomb. And when what award did she get when she was talking about I'm Filipino or something? The Philippines ain't claimed her. Well, it's time for us to to close the fucking put the padlock on FBA. We need to maybe I need to run for office my damn self to pass legislation that you cannot pretend to be black American. I'm sick and fucking tired of it. I
And
Go ahead, Marty.
there is actually a legislation in Australia and in Canada that you can't pretend to be First Nations or Aboriginal, and a lot of white people have been caught doing that. But I think one thing that we don't realize is what Filipino people look like. They don't look like we think they look. Some of them look, they're Negrito. They have a lot of Negrito uh, in their background. So they can pop up looking like you wouldn't expect them to look. And they would be full Filipino by their standard. So that's why someone can pop out. I've seen people from Vietnam. Um, I thought they were Black American. That's how Black American they can look. So we just are used to seeing what they normally look like, but we don't know the full scope of how people look. There's also some girls, this is way long ago, and I wish I could find the article. They were models in Elle magazine, and they said, we're leaving and going back to someplace in Asia that was off of an island. And they said, well, why are you leaving? You've been signed with Ford Modeling Agency. You have your whole careers ahead of you. And they said, well, everybody thinks we're black, and we're tired of being treated badly. And they were living in New York. And I think this big Negro scam is based on them encountering New Yorkers primarily and being told you're black, you're black, you're black, everybody's black, in using our ethnicity as a big dumping ground for anyone that came here from anywhere in the world. So Kamala's black, Filipino people are black, everybody's black by that standard. And that's a standard I believe was popularized in New York and based on the fact that when the police see me, they're seeing, the same as you. And then the Pan Africanist activities were very hot there. So there you go. It sets up a whole thing where it spread through the country where we were telling all these people, no, you're black. So we're cleaning up our own mess. We created this mess. And that's
Mm,
what's going on now because these people came in saying that they were not black, that they were Dominican. And we went around telling them that they were and getting mad at them when they didn't identify. Even just as late as that, what's that girl from South Africa? Just as late as that, when she said, I'm colored, leave her alone. She's colored. And the people were mad about it. Oh, you're saying you're not black. So what? That's
mm,
the rest of us that need to catch up because that's really not the way it's going right now. We want to delineate and we can't do that, reminding people that they look a certain way and they're subject to the laws of the land. I don't care if what the police do when they pull them over. The police might pull a white boy out the car and beat him to death. That's irrelevant. We know what they look like. They're brown. So what? We don't have to attach everyone to us like they're going to be some allies because they're not. We've already had the experience with them and they don't prove to be allies collectively.
mm. That's a lesson right there. Is rule number one: do not force an ally. Matter of fact, just turn inward. I got so much to teach my people. I know a lot about this, but I think Twitter is the wrong place to teach certain lessons. So I'm gonna leave it alone for now. But yeah, Wani, I this whole thing about forcing people to identify as black, I saw real well when I was a little boy, and I never really understood it. I saw it with Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods said he was Cabo Cablasian, which is laughable, and the black community went nuts. You're black. You got a black daddy. You got let him be Cabo Cablasian. Dismiss his ass. Why is it that we used to feel the need to round everybody up into blackness?
I think we did not want them to get the Negro wake up call. I think it was a protectiveness, like you're here in this land, you need to know that people are going to see you. This is a black and white world. This isn't Cuba. This is a black and white world. See, in Cuba, their lighter skinned people are still Cubans. They're all
Mm,
Cubans,
mm,
right? It's
right.
no matter how white they are, they could have blue eyes and light colored hair, and they're still Cuban all the way to a dark skinned person. So they don't have the same dynamic as us. We have a cutoff, like you're white and I'm black. We're not admitting that we might be related. We're delusional on that fact. We know that if you do your DNA, you're going to see a bunch of white settlers, but we don't admit that. and they don't admit it either. And they brought over a whole bunch of white peasants that are not related to us. So they've overpopulated the country with white people that are white for the most part. They're European, they're not mixed, but they don't have that range. So we're trying to tell them this is not Cuba where it's just lighter people versus darker people. No, no, this is white people and black people, and you're black. So if somebody comes over here and they're a light skinned Cuban, they think they're still in Cuba. And they have some, they're in their mind, they think they have some, some benefit as being a light skinned Cuban. No, we're trying to tell you, you're black. We don't have that. Lighter skinned people are getting arrested and thrown into jail like everybody else. We're trying to tell these lighter skinned people from the Dominican that you're not going to get any privileges. It's really protective, but
Mm.
it was wrong on our part because we should always let everybody get their Negro wake up call. They need to figure it out for themselves. We can't live their lives for them. We can't tell them the lay of the land. They should do that, get the information before you even immigrate somewhere. You should know where you're immigrating to and what the social situation is there. That's not our job to teach them in the first place.
Yeah. Um, what Black Americans need to be doing, my dear, beautiful Black American family, is gatekeeping. We need to, first and foremost, understand that power is exclusive. I don't think we understand power. Power is exclusive, not inclusive. Power is the ability to say, you can't do this. And we need to exercise power over our assets, namely historically Black colleges. Um, Dr. Claude Anderson says a thing or two about about power. I'm gonna find it in a minute, but I learned a lot um, working at the historically Black college. I had a very rare opportunity as a professor and administrator at the same time. I saw how power worked within historically Black colleges. These historically Black colleges get money from the federal government um, forever. You know what I'm saying? Ad infinitum, and that's power. It's a place to organize. But Dr. Claude Anderson says the first thing you have to do to have power is to organize. Claude Anderson says, divided, you cannot achieve empowerment. Claude Anderson says this, and we're going to move on to cash gains. Um, Claude Anderson says, quote, though Jews are a minority religious group, they can serve as an empowerment model. Claude Anderson says Jews wield strong blocks of power, financial and political. This result from their strong sense of community, control of wealth, organizational networking, under their religious identification and sense of togetherness. They aggressively protect their domestic and international interests. Regardless of criticism, unlike blacks, they openly and aggressively use their power to tilt the government and private resources to support issues and programs that benefit Jews. As a religious minority, Jews understand that in a government that is based on the belief of being and being of, by and for the people, that the people are those who can concentrate their power and get what they want. Given that fact by our dear brother Claude Anderson, um, my advice would be to my beautiful Black Americans is to identify. That's the first part of Blooms. Identify what power do we have? So that's going to be a question that I ask y'all. What type of power do foundational Black Americans have? Let's identify it. What do you think about that, Cash Gains? What type of power do foundational Black Americans have? Let's identify.
The two things I always bring up, and thank you for the space and for having the room.
Well, thank you for being here.
The two things I bring up for our community is our power through media attention. I think that cancel culture was invented by us. The whole like putting people on the spot and getting them fired from their jobs based on what they've said. I think that that was created out of Black American frustration. Professor, you on the you
Oh,
on
no,
mute?
no, no. My lady was talking. I'm sorry. Let me hit mute again. Go ahead.
Pardon me. Pardon me. What I was saying,
Cancel
yeah,
culture.
yeah, that we created cancel culture and also intellectual property. The intellectual property that we've created as Black Americans, I think, leads towards a certain level of leverage. Damn, I really wanted to speak about the Zoe Saldana thing, but yeah, I just wanted to shout out those two things as forms of power I believe we have. And we
Yes.
weaponized, right? We weaponized social media because we couldn't really get justice to the courts. I'm sorry, go ahead, one.
No, I was just gonna say you can speak about Zoe Saldana if you want.
Oh, yeah, you good to go, bro.
That's the subtext too, right, to the title. I don't want to miss it. Yeah, so one thing, I create movies, right? I'm a filmmaker, and I believe a lot in allegory, right? And us playing out like our subconscious ideas through like art. And like there's a lot of white folks who make movies where they're trying to rewrite history or whitewash it or white explain it. And so when I look at the avatar, well, let me say it because of this. In a previous space, somebody was mentioning how Zoe Saldana's, and really her full name is what? Zoe Yadira Saldana Nazario Perego. But she was playing in movies sometimes where she actually played a Black American. But this South African lady said none of those times where she played a Black American did she win an award, and she thinks that that's a flex, but to me that might be telling. Now, when she did win awards, it was for playing in Guardians of the Galaxy, where she was painted green, Avatar, where she was painted blue, and that was an allegory of the Native American genocide, right? So the only reason I bring that up is it might be something that we look over quickly, but if you really think back, like these green and blue characters is white people's invention of false diversity. And the fact that she's playing those roles in modern day reminds me of baseball, how Dominicans might be a cheaper version of diversity when it was Black Americans who fought to desegregate the baseball games, and now there are people who are cheap from other countries that can still play baseball and maybe even play better. I ain't gonna say worse or better. I don't watch baseball, but there definitely seems to be that same uh, um, thing happening within the entertainment space. And lastly, I think people are saying "damned if you do, damned if you don't" with her actually delineating. I will uplift that she's delineating. It felt like a betrayal to me, same way Professor Alon. I didn't necessarily have a crush on her, but I remember watching Columbiana. I remember watching her in Star Trek and Pirates of the Caribbean, where she had a very small role, and I thought she was eccentric. But it reminds me of Issa Rae, and this is where I'll land Mike. Issa Rae had Awkward Black Girl, which became Insecure. I don't know if she had a whole lot of black people watching her, but the term black kind of got her recognition and prestige. She turned around in interviews and said that she believes there needs to be more Senegalese writers in the room, like
Wow.
because she's half Senegalese. So to me, that's a betrayal. You can't
Mhm.
get to the highest level and not shout out the people that got you to where you are now, or we'll cancel you.
Yeah, yeah, we need to get to a point where first we need to identify our power, and then we need to figure out a way to gatekeep our power. I know our power is cultural, um, but that's something as a group we're gonna have to figure out because I've really had it, and I think a lot of foundational Black Americans feel like me. We're sick and tired of it. Like, stop cosplaying us. Stop using us to springboard into your career and your success, your fame. I remember Justin Timberlake did that crap. Um, you know, um, weaning off. I mean, trying to emulate a Black American. And when the Janet issue happened, he said, "I'm appalled." We're sick of it. Um, but good point, Cash Games. I appreciate you. We're gonna move on to I think Gia Monet. Please raise your hand if you want to talk, and your hand may be up. For some reason, my thing doesn't see it. Okay, but go ahead, Gia.
Okay, thank you so much. So a couple of things. When you say like what powers do we have? I think being able to define things as well as
Yes.
being able to have the authority of asking them, which is almost like a truth serum or like a kryptonite, what is your lineage? That's powerful. It makes them swarm up like roundup. That just really gets them, and really what makes them angry even more, which I've noticed, is when they try to say that you're our leader, or they try to say that Jason Black is our leader, or Tariq is our leader, and we respond in saying there is no leader, Tariq is not my leader. That really just chaps them really bad. They don't know how to respond to that, because they think that if they can attack him, or attack, him by proxy. But when we say we are not in an affiliation, we are a lineage. Do Dominican people have a leader? Do Nigerians have a leader? Who? Well, then you name your leader. Then you can't have a leader in a lineage group. That is something that really, really, really gets them. It's a gotcha moment when talking about her. Because her is some like an artist that I followed. Hers first breakout, her name is actually Gabby Wilson. And her breakout, in terms of how she was introduced and paraded all around ASCAP when she was a little girl. She came out like almost like when Hallie and when the Bailey sisters like came out. They came out around the same time. She was doing the same circuit as the Bailey sisters at the ASCAP, at the BET, when they did like their breakout, actually for the both of them that won BET awards, and other same types of interviews and publications. She was being pushed and promoted through Black media, as well as through Black press and through Black audiences. If you go and you Google and you look at her and you look up Gabby Wilson, Gabi Wilson, her, that is what you will find. So for her to now get to this point in her career and to completely not acknowledge that is something that is to be noted. And knowing that in the future, the next time, even if you are a child in the future, making their parents accountable in terms of, well, what exactly, what is your lineage, and being very clear from the start to not even give her an opportunity to then spit in our face, now that she's a broken artist. But she was broken through a Black audience. That's where she got her background from. And as for Zoe Saldana, if anybody remembers, Zoe Saldana, Bernie Mac was her father, and guess who? Which is like crazy. That was the movie when she was with Ashton Kutcher, and it was about her bringing home the racial dynamics as a Black woman bringing home a white man, which people don't even like realize. And the roles that broke Zoe Saldana were these roles as a Black woman. Her most memorable roles, which were able to launch her into that stardom. So it's not anything against, like, congratulations to her on her award and everything. But if she can be able to delineate herself in a national audience, given the backs of the people that she stood on, then we should be able to delineate and let people know from the Foundational Black American Delegation, she is not a part of us. And also holding more accountability on people like the casting agencies, and now starting to ask these questions at the Sundances and at the film festivals and at the Pan African film festivals, and when these films come out on circuits, start asking the casting agencies, do you feel like if you casted a different role, and what is behind this, and why did you cast, asking them these questions. And one more point, I'm going to land my plane in less than 10 seconds. I remember I had an old colleague of mine that I knew, actually a very close friend of mine, that's a very big entertainment attorney. I'm talking about coming from a white shoe label and 100 law firm, and represents top Black talent. When you think your top 5 biggest talents out there in the box office that's bringing it home represents them. And I specifically asked, well, what do you think about this whole thing that's going on with like the invasion? He said from himself, from his partners that have told him that they support Black British actors, and they support Black African actors, and actors that are not foundational Black American, because they're able to bargain cheaper for them. They have less resistance, and they're able to be told what to do. This came directly from his mouth. So with that, I land my plane.
Yeah, thank you for the insight and on the inside game on that. Yeah, yeah, I agree with it. I wanted to read one thing and then we'll move on to the next speaker. Really important. This is according to Claude Anderson. Listen to this, ladies and gentlemen. And I agree with this. Claude Anderson says blacks are a sleeping giant with some limited potential for developing economic and social powers. But regardless of this limited nature of their potential, group power operates on a very simple principle that whatsoever is organized has already established a minimum level of power that they did not have as a scattered people. So check this out, ladies and gentlemen. We're halfway there. Identifying ourselves as foundational Black Americans, what did it do? It unscattered us. And I think Gia said that, or maybe Gia. I'm not sure if Brother Cash Kane said it, but definition. One of y'all said definition. Yep, we're halfway there. We've already defined ourselves, so be very proud of that. Lastly, Dr. Claude Anderson says blacks seeking to empower themselves will undoubtedly create concerns amongst whites who have gone accustomed to the historical belief that blacks should always be powerless, poverty-stricken people. And sure enough, when we unify and name ourselves, who shows up on Tariq's spaces? Who shows up on our spaces? Drunken Caucasians who are just flabbergasted by this new narrative. Isn't that interesting? Um, we're gonna go move on to um I think it's
Well,
yeah.
it
Go ahead,
it's
Wani.
it's very unnerving for us to do this because white American is not equal to black American. You see, white American is saying that a bunch of European people came over here and decided to call themselves white in opposition to us, not in opposition to everybody in the diaspora, just us. We're black Americans versus any old ragtag whiteys that come over here. That's the dynamic. So they're trying to dump all these third worlders onto our lineage, and it's not going down. So us delineating is causing a ruckus all over the place because now they're saying that they're heritage white people and generational white people and Mayflower white people. Yeah, this is very destructive for the white mob. And the white mob is getting torn down, and they're having to rethink themselves and their place in America and their value in America because clearly an English person has more value in America than a Polish person, than some random people that just came over here, like from Hungarian people. People here from Hungary now. We never saw people from Bulgaria, Hungary, Ukraine. These people don't have anything to do with America, but they're here and they're going to be feeling uncomfortable and not knowing how to fit in because they have nothing to do with this English colony. And we're starting to break that down for them.
Yep. Yeah, it's so fascinating, ladies and gentlemen. I I wrote about this in my book. I have a whole chapter on the hierarchy. I have a graphic organizer that shows how the foundation for the United States of America's social structure is built upon the exploitation of a group. It needs a group to exploit, and basically this whole whiteness, which is something that doesn't really exist in Europe. I went to school with Europeans, and I was shocked to find out that they didn't know what white was. They were German, they were Italian, they were English, they were French. White, what did that mean? They were Dutch. Whiteness is a code to come against us and unify against us. Um, is diametrically opposed to us, right? And on the same breath, well, anyway, Dr. Claude Anderson says something very important about power. I want to read that, and then we'll go to the next um, speaker. I think it's the black. Dr. Anderson says, "Quote: The American Heritage Dictionary defines empowerment as follows: to invest with legal power or to authorize." To invest with legal power or to authorize. So, one step that we need to accomplish, and um, I know Wani's been kind of working on this, and you know, y'all have me at your disposal if you need, if I can help in any way. We need to get this foundational Black American term. We need to put some legal authority behind it. Once that, imagine our level of power once FBA or Foundational Black American is going to appear on the census. So we need to work on making that happen. Dr. Anderson further says this definition speaks to the institutionalized um, authorities and power. Like I said, the census. Quite clearly, this is not what Black activists intended when they spoke of empowering Black people and Black communities in the 1960s. Most community activists were concerned about empowering Black people to act or be in a position to speak for their own people through established systems, right? But we've learned that a lot of these established systems were created in diametric opposition to us. Let me give an example. African American, the term African American was itself a weapon. It steals our land based identity and makes us some random African, which is not true. Um, Go ahead, the Black. What's on your mind, man?
What's going on, Professor Wani? Everybody in the room.
Yes,
Um,
sir.
I was thinking what Cash and Jill said, and it made me think about just the inception of this entertainment business, and everything start off with the chitlin circuit and the great Oscar Michaud, and we well before that it was vaudeville and the minstrel shows. And when you break down that history, a lot of these immigrants, they came over here and they was forced to do that. Some of them was forced to do that or volunteered to do that to make a living. And the example that Cash gave earlier about how it's kind of like when they portray roles that are really the example of some of our great elders before us, they don't win no awards. They but when they play a role of something different or like something from the white man's imagination, they end up winning something, or something that's degenerate and favors the white person or the European, it it wins them a role. And when our elders win awards, it's something that they got to do that's either hated by the dominant society, or it's something that's hated by us as foundational Black Americans. Like, they gotta somewhat degrade themselves to get the full acknowledgement from their so-called peers, even though we give them praise and we love them. Kind of like Frankie Beverly, even though he was never able to win a Grammy, he knew that he was loved by the community and by his people because he made music that uplifted us. It stayed on that frequency, and when you not on that frequency, it it doesn't show in your art. That's why when people play roles that come from the soil, you actually feel it. You get into the movie. That's why a lot of these movies haven't really just touched us, and we really been pushing back against it because we know it's not genuine. They're doing it for just to pay. They come over here, read a book about our history, and they put on an act, and they go back to being disconnected. When our elders play these roles, it sticks with them. Samuel L. Jackson, he can do a line of any of his old movies on a drop of a dime because he actually turned into them people. because that's what a real actor does. You embody those people, and they leave imprints in you. It reminds me of an interview of Jamie Foxx that I was watching a couple of months ago when he was playing uh, the disabled dude that played the violin, and he said that made him go into a depression state for a while, just going through what a person that's disabled and black has to go through. He he actually felt that. He went a little crazy playing Ray Charles because being blind, he actually glued his eyes to actually embody Ray Charles. That's why he played it so well. So when these people do these roles, I really feel like it's in disrespect, especially like Cynthia Erivo, the little dress. I don't understand how it was supposed to be a symbolic gesture to Hattie McDaniels. I felt like it was a disrespect. She was trying to be funny or something. And I feel like they play with the spirits of our elders just to bring them scars out of us and make us be angry. And since we not grabbing the bait and we really just standing on all tens and defending our history and our culture, it's making them even more matter and more erratic. So now
That,
the
that's very true. I was looking earlier. Y'all were talking about the Philippines and how the Filipinos were black, and I was looking for some evidence. It took me a minute to find it, but in 1899 there was a war in the Philippines under it was the Monroe Doctrine. We were going and stealing shit from people. That's all it was. But the United States wanted resources from the Philippines, and we had a war over there, and a lot of brothers signed up to go to war in the Philippines, and brothers went to the Philippines and ended up defecting. But anyway, I didn't want to take up the space with it, but I wanted if this piece of textual evidence kind of proved what Wani said earlier about the Filipinos being black. According to Dr. Howard Zinn, he says a volunteer from the state of Washington, that's the Washington National Guard now, a volunteer from the state of Washington wrote, quote, our fighting blood was up, and all we wanted to kill niggers. This shouting, this shooting human beings beats rabbit hunting all to pieces. So, white boys that went over there in the Marine Corps and the Army and the National Guard signed up to shoot black people. That's it because they're Filipino.
Well, yeah, I didn't say they were all, I didn't say they were black. I
Okay.
said that a lot of them that we don't see, because remember, these people put up certain people for us to look at,
Hmm.
and you don't see the range of colors. So if you think of what does the East Indian look like in your head, you're not going to think of a chocolate skinned person, and they have a whole lot of chocolate skin East Indians. So no, they have Negritos still there living on that land, and they have a foundation of Negritos. So they're subject to look a whole lot of different ways. So not the average one, not
hey,
a
what's so
lot that you
crazy?
see, not a lot of the ones you might see over here in America. Because I used to mentor Southeast Asian girls, so I know what they look like typically. But then every now and then you will see somebody who is, you look at them, you're like, you're Vietnamese?
Wow.
And they are, they're not mixed. They're Vietnamese on both sides. Um, okay, who I think
Trisha,
AB.
right? Was it Trisha?
Okay. She said she had her hand up, so let's go with Trisha and then AB2.
Okay, go ahead, Trisha.
Hello, can you hear
Yes,
me?
ma'am.
Okay.
Yes.
So the other about a few days back I had to take one of my children to the doctor, and on the app, when you're filling out information at the doctor's office, they'll have like a category. They'll ask you, you know, even before I started listening to the conversations here, I was feeling kind of out of it whenever I would have to fill out these forms and put down what I called myself because I really didn't resonate with what they had on the paper. And all the time on the papers, they always have Black or African American. And I think the last census that I did that they sent out, I think I put a variety. I think they sent the census out like twice, and I put like a variety of things. Like on one of them, I even put American Negro because I was tired of calling myself African after I've met like numerous Africans from different countries and realized that I wasn't an African. So I put American. I remember in the 70s, that's what we were calling ourselves. Because I'm 53 years old. I remember calling people calling us American Negroes. So I put that on one of the census. I put that on applications. Sometimes I would put American Black. And one thing that I noticed that at the beginning of the conversation when you were talking about that we really need to emphasize and like put forth some type of legislation for so people can't just cosplay us and anybody and they mama can come in and be us.
Yeah,
When you were saying that, and I thought about that paper when I was filling it out for my son, there was a category on that paper. There was a category that said Vietnamese, there was a category that said Chinese by itself. It wasn't like Asian and then, 500 other people thrown in. It was Vietnamese by itself.
facts.
And I thought to myself, I said, well, if these people can come over here and get a category all their own, that a Korean person can't come over here and say I'm Vietnamese, that a Chinese person can't come over here and say I'm Korean. Why is it that we have to share ourselves with the entire diaspora? It makes no sense. And what you're saying is I think we really do need to push forward and make some kind of legislation where people cannot do that. You cannot come over here and if you've been in your country all your life and you immigrate here and then all of a sudden you're Black American. No.
Well, I'll answer your question. Why is it that we have to share? Well, it goes back to the slave trade, and Dr. Claude Anderson puts it real clear on page 11 of on Black Labor, White Wealth. He says, quote, worst of all, slaves were intentionally kept without hope. And here it is right here. He says, quote, a slave's life was committed to producing wealth and comfort for white masters. The slave suffered in silence. We weren't supposed to own anything, even our own name, um, our name was something that we didn't own, but we're flipping the script on that. But
Yeah,
go ahead.
we're working on this using the Friedman term for legal status. So that's number one. And the other reason is because when we wanted to make sure that we were not confused with immigrants, a bunch of immigrants kept throwing monkey wrenches into it because they're on all of the NAACP, all the legacy organizations stormed over there because they're immigrants. They're a parasitic group of people, and they wanted to make sure they didn't miss out on any benefit. What I found very strange was that Afro Latinos were making a big stink about it. And it's like, that's not even your box. You don't check that. You're supposed to check Latino. You actually have a box. But they were very up in the air about that being taken away. So I'm happy that she delineated, but I'm unhappy that she became popular playing Black American roles. I'm unhappy that she took Black American roles. I'm unhappy that she played Nina Simone in blackface and then had to apologize. She's just another step and fetch it. In fact, all of these people are nothing but step and fetch it. He was a
Preach.
very ugly, retarded looking man who came over here and made Black Americans look bad. And Frederick Douglass complained about it. He said these blackface acts are the filth of white society, the scum of white society. He spoke out horribly against them. They're disgusting, and we've always had to push back. So they put these watermelon images and banjo images and all of this. These people cannot stop themselves. Now they have these gargoyles, Joy Reid and Cynthia Erivo, running around looking like hell. Pure shit. Ugliest people. They're not. They don't look like ugly men. They just look like monsters, running around, crying, screaming, making a fool of themselves all over the internet. And we have to look at it. And that's supposed to be what we look like. That's what they want to say we look like. They're the average, everyday black person. Look at them. That's what they're trying to portray as us. We don't get to have glamour anymore. We don't get to have anything. We just have a person that looks like Nosferatu running around with nose rings, no eyebrows, and all kinds of things. So, this is what they're trying to do, and they're getting louder and louder with it. And they're using Africans just like they used
Right.
Caribbeans to do this propaganda against us. So, we don't have that Hollywood glamour that we fought for. We fought for representation with the Diane Carols, with all the rest of them, and they just keep tearing it away.
Well, what we're gonna have to do, Monty, and I'm gonna take, I'm gonna, you know, be a part of this. Is we're gonna have to analyze what went wrong. I know a couple of things that went wrong. Um, when we start to take charge, we start to take charge in the '60s, and we start to organize like Dr. Claude Anderson told us to do. Well, we were co-opted. We were hit with Trojan horses. One Trojan horse being the whole feminism issue, which wasn't our issue. That shit was detrimental because a black man and woman were standing together in unison. It's almost like when a black man is with his woman, he's invincible. It's a special power. But feminism creeped into the black family and kind of turned it out. And also the immigration issue that you refer to, that was unforeseen. We didn't see that one coming. I teach at a PWI, and on the hallway there's a big, huge exhibit on Shirley Chisholm and how amazing she is. And I want to take it down. Shirley Chisholm was a weapon. She was a Trojan horse. If y'all remember um, the story of the Trojan horse. Anyhow, Rob the Whip, what's on your mind, bro? Can you hear me, Rob?
Hey, what's going on, y'all?
Hey,
Hey,
brother, what's up?
Hey, man. So I'm gonna hit the topic first, but then I want to tell you about this epiphany that I had last night. Because I came here with a knot in my chest. But let's get to the topic first. As far as the old girl, I didn't watch the award ceremony last night, but I think we put too much emphasis on Hollywood, and I think that this generation is and now with all the stuff that's going on, it's starting to not really care as much either. Um, I mean, people been acting like us forever, so I don't see a big deal. She don't. I'm gonna put it like this: everybody tries to act like us when it's beneficial to them, you know what I mean. But when they get on the big stage, they separate themselves from us. They claim that their country that they're from, or that they're associated with. But when it's bad, then they come looking for us, and we all know that. So what else is new? So I'm not even worried. I didn't know who she was until I had to look at her picture. So that's how much I really give a rip about that broad. But as far as this thing, so Professor, I'm gonna talk to you and everybody in the room. I had an epiphany last night, right? I was laying in bed because that shit bothered me. What does Africa, the whole continent of Africa for the most part, Brazil, um, Haiti, uh, all these third world countries, pretty much all of South America, Mexico, and all these countries, what do they have in common?
Mm, that's a tough one. Give me a hint. Because what I wanted to say was installed leadership.
Um, no, like Wani, can you give any insight? Like all those places that you can think of, from Africa all the way down to South America and all over the place. What are the Vietnam, the Philippines, the PI? What do they all have in common?
I don't know. Tell me.
Wow. So Okay, I don't know if you guys know, but I'm a Freemason. My father was, my father's father was, my brother was. I'm like 9, 10 generations deep in that, right? So what it is one of the things of Freemasonry is uh the Masons had this held the secrets to building infrastructure. And if you look at all of these countries that come here to America, when America was being built, a lot of Freemasons came over here and started and with the architecture and stuff. Yes, our ancestors did the actual building, the physical work, but a lot of them, this is with history, of Freemasonry, they came over here, the best and brightest, I guess, from all over, the continent, different continents of Freemasonry came over here, the actual builders, and they brought the secrets with them, and they built something different. It kind of like went wild. So we have better infrastructure here in America than all of these other places. Like you have the favelas down in Brazil, you have the shanty towns in Africa, you have the little, so when you look at the infrastructure, our ancestors built something beautiful that no other country has been able to replicate. So and that's what I want to say. That's why it's a big jealousy with all these other cultures when it comes to us, because we took something and all that evil that was put upon us as a people, we still were able to create something that's never been created and never been able to really been duplicated. And it's a lot of jealousy and envy. And that's just one half of like kind of the epiphany. I was like, that's why they don't really like us, because one, we never ran. We stood and fought and we created something beautiful and strong and sturdy. You know what I mean? And in the other half, they don't respect us because they didn't take the time to learn real American history. So they don't understand the struggle, and most of them really don't care when they get here. They just want what they want, but they're ignorant to actually the history of our people and the real history of America, because it's not really taught. It's not taught in schools anymore, and it's been distorted, and it's just sickening. So, that's what I came up with last night. So
Oh yeah.
I land my plane.
Well, Robert Whip said it's not taught in schools anymore. I've kind of taken the charge in trying to implement historical curriculum for foundational Black American children. And in the Jumbotron, you'll find in a moment, you'll find my a link to my Cash App where you can buy my book. Put $25 in the Cash App and put your full address and zip code, and I will send a copy out to you shortly. If you bought the book last week, it should be on its way. I had a quite kind of a big order last week, but I mailed them all out the other day. So, in addition, in the jumbotron, you'll find Wani Spots, her Cash App, Show Her Love, for all the scholarship and wisdom that she brings to this space. Now we're going to move on to a AB
Maybe
two.
too.
Yeah, go ahead, AB2.
Hey, what's up, y'all?
Hey, brother.
Shout out to you, Professor, and to you also, Wani. I'm usually I frequent these spaces
Yeah.
late at night before bedtime. So thank y'all for the commitment of educating, the people who work through the days and aren't able to keep up with the conversations. What made me come up well, shout out to everybody else on the stage too, and everybody else in the room. What made me come up was what Cash said about the Negro leagues, because I'm a little Negro. I was one of them baseball boys, one of them black Negro baseball boys playing baseball, me and my brothers. And we were, even back then, it wasn't very many of us on the fields. And over the years, we formed a pretty much all black team. We had a couple of Hispanics, maybe one or two white boys, and we ran their ass, and they used to hate seeing us. So just from my love of baseball, I've stuck around the sport, and I've been doing it as a profession now for 18 years.
Wow.
And I probably spend probably probably 60% of my time, if not more, on that baseball diamond. And I just wanted to say this because like I said, it's y'all always have really good conversations and in areas of things that are affecting us even right now. And that's what made me came come up. I don't know why I keep saying came. I don't know. But that's what made me come up because um even now that I officiate the sport, I see a lot of when I do see the dark complected people that look like us, you know, they may end up walking to the plate, and ready to hit, and I say something to them and they don't even understand what the hell I'm saying. You know what I mean? And I do believe that this is happening in real time. They're bargaining cheaper, with these other melanated groups that so called look like us, but they ain't us because, they don't bite back, they don't. And I even see myself, like I said, I've been doing it 18 years, but and I'm good enough at what I do. I can go anywhere. You can drop me anywhere in this. And I've called in different states too. So it doesn't matter where you put me. I know I can find work. But what I'm saying is that they don't bite back like we do, because they don't have the history that we have, and they don't have the foundation that we've laid, our people. You know what I'm saying? So um they react different. And even when I speak, like I hear other people too that like these Africans and stuff, they'll ask me about the sport. I don't understand baseball. Like what happens when you do this? They don't really understand the sport. So with everything that we're going through and them trying to claim us, basically identity fraud, because that's the way I see it. Um, them trying to act like us, like we really need to gatekeep our spaces and our professions, our, expertise, and protect those spaces, and show nepotism like how they do. You know what I'm saying? And like don't really educate them. I don't really give a damn if they understand the game of baseball. They better watch that shit on TV or read up about it. Like I'm worrying about the little Negroes, what I'm saying, that we need to be getting back in baseball, you know what I'm saying? Like instead of the Dominicans and the Puerto Ricans and the Venezuela, you know what I'm saying? Like they'll bring them in because they're able to um pay them cheaper, you know what I'm saying? Like the players, I mean, you know what I mean? Like we need millions when we on the field because we when we on the field, people know we on the field. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And we seen the quality of the sports go down too because these foreigners aren't, they're not as good as us. They're just not us. You know what I'm saying? And I've also seen it too on the professional side. As an official, instead of paying us, they have to pay, you know, the professional umpires that you see on the TVs. You know what I mean? They make like 100 grand plus. You know what I mean? And they're trying to keep from having to increase the pay on that too. So they're bringing in Dominicans, the darker complected. So a lot of these people that y'all see on the diamonds, just look at the last name. They probably not us.
Right. I used to coach baseball, man, and I love it. Baseball's amazing. We need more FBAs in baseball. I coach third base. Love it.
I remember before Tommy Lasorda died, he said that the quality of the sport had gone down, that we need to go to Black American neighborhoods and start recruiting them. And this is not even a conspiracy. They literally, a lot of Black American men just went into other sports because they were not being treated fairly. They didn't want to pay them right. They didn't get the sponsorship deals that other groups got, and they started, choosing other sports. So it's been mentioned by a couple of very well known people that Black Americans are different. We have all the legends, we've broken all the barriers in that sport. And these other people are just cheap labor. And I used to watch baseball myself from when I was a child, all the way up until I started noticing everybody was Caribbean or South American. And I
Yeah, because
didn't
what's
even
happening?
notice.
Sorry, Wani.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say what's happening is we've been bought out of the sport. You know, the sport is so expensive we can't afford it. You know, so that's what's happening.
Wow.
And what I see happening with these other immigrants that they're pulling in to basically feel the it's kind of like the Rooney Rule. You know what I'm saying? To fill the spots as if there are black people, but they're really not. You know what I'm saying? Like what they're doing is they'll bring in like even when they're before they're graduating high school, when they're going into college, or like a lot of these players, they'll get drafted straight from high school into the MLB. They'll bring them from other countries because they're already about to get drafted. They'll bring them out here, get them drafted, and get paid off of their contract. You know what I'm saying? So that's a whole nother world.
Can I add that most black people kind of like in the community stopped watching baseball after they did Bo Jackson and Deion Sanders the way they did them, and those was the last people to play double sports during the '90s too. So after they pushed Dion out, the baseball really went out of favor, and you could tell that it wasn't no more of us inside the sport. It lost its leisure and its pizzazz, and everybody started traveling towards football and basketball, and now you see those sports are starting to decrease because they're doing this globalist sports and trying to bring in other melanated people, and it's not as entertaining. They have to adjust the rules, kind of like how they outlawed the dunk and they had to bring it back because it became boring when you don't have our little touch to it. And you see the big three is starting to be a competition to the regular NBA because it's actually letting people be themselves and play the game as it should be. Reason why they got rid of N1 and other little street ball games that they used to have traveling around, uh, kind of copying out the basis of our culture because you you can see some N1 going to your local gym or your local park, and you have talented brothers playing all type of sports. It's just like the brother said, when it come down to baseball, they did jack up the prices and then just stop making baseball diamonds or just didn't improve some of the old fields.
So
So
like now you got like I'll see a team on a regular weekend. They got four uniforms, they got two bats, they got gloves for this position, that position. Man, when I was playing, me and my brother shared a bat. You know what I'm saying? We shared a ball bag. You know what I mean? We share some of the same equipment. You know what I mean? Like we just can't afford it. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? We talk about the wealth gap and shit like that. I
But
mean, it costs.
how are these broke ass island people affording anything?
I'm
they
telling you,
It's the
I'm telling
same
you
the
because
thing.
they bring.
MLB got
It's
programs
this.
that they sent
Hold
to these
on.
countries.
It's the same thing they're doing with the Indians. They're claiming that Americans can't do the jobs, and they're going to import over all these backward Indians, but they're training them. So why aren't they going up there and getting our men and training them the way they're doing these stupid people on the islands
Because
that
we take
don't have a
over.
pot to piss in? They're selling their butts to tourists,
Mm.
so they don't have any money.
Mm. Oh, that's
Like
interesting.
in Haiti, they make the baseballs in Haiti, but they train the Dominicans to play the sport, and that's how they they keep one side in poverty, and then the other side they train to come over here and cosplay as us.
Hmm.
The NBA, the
Interesting.
NBA is looking for
What? Oh, go ahead,
the NBA
Cash.
is looking for Africans to play in the NBA now too, and some even Eastern Europeans.
Wow.
Uh, um, First, I want to say, if she'd have said, as a Dominican, thank you to all the Black American women who paved the way, who got looked over, to the Black directors who, took a chance on me, you know what I'm saying? The Black casting directors. Shout out to Viola Davis, Taraji P. Henson, and even Monique. Y'all are experiencing replacement and erasure. Replacer. We might have fucked with it. Instead, what's happening now is we're choosing our heroes, and a lot of black cards are getting revoked. In a way, their cover is blown, is how I like to say it. I think that boycotts when it comes to movies can be powerful. I remember we had the hashtag not my Harriet. I remember we had the hashtag Oscars so white. I remember Kanye West going up on stage and saying, "Who the fuck is Taylor Swift?" And now they don't want us at the awards no more. You see what I'm saying? Like they want people who are just gonna say, "Shout out to Dominican Republic." You know what I'm saying? I was looking up just to be sure for the conversation. Um, they desegregated baseball with Jackie Robinson. That's 1947.
Facts.
Come on, they desegregated football in 1962. But I'm looking. I watched a series by Ava DuVernay about Colin Kaepernick and how he was raised, and he was a baseball player and a football player. And he said that the NFL was 70% melanated, or so he called it black, but it's diverse versus baseball being predominantly still white. And he talked about as a kid how he was on these baseball tours where they would go for like weeks at a time to play multiple different teams, and all the racism that he endured, staying at those hotels. They was acting like he was a homeless person there. There were racist chants that they used to say and stuff, and it sounded like Jackie Robinson all over again. And all his white coaches told him he needs to become a baseball player, but we all know Colin Kaepernick was a quarterback, even third string in the NFL, and then took a knee, and changed the world. But I wanted to shout out Barry Bonds since y'all was talking about baseball. Here's another hit, Barry Bonds, and I agree with y'all. Like the
Gary
come
Sheffield,
on,
yep.
and
Ken Griffey,
hey, well,
Frank
I'm
Thomas,
I,
Tim
I
Raines.
miss
We
here we
got a
I
go.
miss
bunch.
Ken Griffey.
We have tons of legends. We can't even cover them. I mean, it's just astronomical.
Man,
Kirby Puckett.
I mean,
Yep.
that's why they pushed us out the game because the baseball don't have a cap,
Daryl
a salary
Strawberry.
cap. So you can make as much money as you want. And when you look at how Dion was doing it when he was playing for the MLB and the NFL, he was finessing them contracts. He was making both of the sports fight over him, and they didn't like that. So and after that, you 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 start to fastly see the decrease of a lot of baseball programs in a lot of urban cities and stuff. Yeah, they literally pushed us out the sport because they can't compete. You know what I'm saying? Baseball is a fat white man game. Most of them baseball players be out of shape. Know what I'm saying? They had Dion stealing bases. He was setting records at the beginning of his career. You had Bo Jackson climbing walls and catching balls. They doing some unbelievable things. They look, they had yeah. They remember why they segregated the game because wasn't nobody watching these white games no more. They
Yeah,
had
they were watching the Negro leagues. The Negro
yeah.
leagues got their attention. Well, we're
can
gonna
I
go
say?
ahead and we're gonna go ahead and move to Mr. Freedom.
Could I say one last point, if I may?
Go ahead,
I
Cash, and then
agree
we'll
with
move to
y'all.
Mr. Freedom.
Just about the Negro League, and y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, because I wasn't a big baseball guy. I'm still kind of not. Y'all mentioned a lot of names I don't know, but in my understanding, the Negro Leagues they had left-handed pitchers, ambidextrous pitchers.
Yep.
I don't know if stealing bases comes from us. I heard that curveballs and certain like sliders and stuff comes from us,
Right.
and white folks would say it came from them, but like, you know what I'm saying? And then yeah, again, like who has the? I mean, even bunting. Like I'm looking at a lot of innovations that happen in baseball, and I'm like, who came up with those ideas? And did they allow it because they thought they were culturally different, and then it became canon in the sport overall? And I only brought up when they desegregated because it's crazy to me that the NFL desegregated later, but has more diversity than baseball, which supposedly desegregated way back under Jackie Robinson, but it's still Oscar So White, the baseball version, and
Yeah.
Japanese.
Yeah. Baseball was co-opted because, like the gentleman said earlier, Europeans kind of took it over and kind of made it their baby. So it was co-opted, like everything else. That's the story of everything. That's really what we're talking about with the whole Oscars and just taking our shit, like Wani was talking about with Cowboy. But we're gonna move on to Mr. Freedom.
How you doing, family?
Hey, brother, what's going on?
Very good, very good. I hope y'all having a good night. That was crazy what happened with Tariq's room. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, buddy,
Yeah.
I noticed that.
Yeah, yeah, he went a little deep. Uh, but I wasn't gonna come up tonight, and I appreciate the conversation and everything. But I'm not going to say anything. I don't think he said anything negative. Rob the Whip, but I have to straighten something out in regards to what he said. So I'm not going against him. I don't. I look to see if he's here, and he's not here. So that's not what I'm doing. But I wanted to illuminate what he's talking about a little bit more as it relates to uh, the lodge and all of that kind of stuff. If you don't mind.
Go ahead.
Okay. And I posted in the Purple Pill, when it comes to the establishment of this country as it relates to the lodge. There were multiple things happening that people are not necessarily aware. There was always our Aboriginal natives here. I posted some of those pictures, and some previous and current tribes have been recognized for people who've never left genetically or physically, still living on those lands. Um, and then there was a kingdom here, a Moorish kingdom. When I say Moorish, I'm talking about just Saracens or seafarers. Those are just Aboriginal people that travel across the world and make contracts and treaties.
What city? I mean, what area were they in?
The sun never set on their empire, but this was considered the kingdom.
I mean, what area of the United States?
It started in South America.
Okay.
hmm That's where the largest cities are, and that the agriculture could support the largest cities in South America, the largest temples. But coming out of there, um, yeah, this is special. But I posted the letter from George Washington. If you read that letter closely, you'll realize that he's actually asking the emperor, okay, over in Africa for permission because to set up Washington D.C. If you read this letter, and I'm not bringing this up for no reason.
Hold on. Where'd you put the letter? Where'd you put it?
It's in the Purple Pill. It
Wow.
says Founders Archives. You literally see, and
I'll pin it up above.
okay, I don't know how to do the what you call it, the
It's up above now.
jumbotron thing, but I posted it there. So it's a
Nice.
letter, and this is a trick. Now I want to show y'all this. The George Washington actually sent a letter begging to forego the taxes that had to be paid to the Empire of Morocco and to that emperor, Sultan Sidi Muhammad ibn Sharif ibn Ali ibn Muhammad. They have long names like that. But the problem is this was a trick because he actually died and never responded to this letter. So then they took it upon themselves to start enslaving the Aboriginal natives here. That's actually what happened. And if you read the letter, you'll see he's just groveling. He's calling him your Almighty, bless your Majesty, your great magnanimous friend. And he's saying we don't have mines or gold or silver in this young nation. He's just recovering from waste and desolation of a long war. All right. So that's what was being set up in Washington D.C. for Caucasians, 10 Mile Square. But he never responded to that letter, and they just went on and started enslaving people in agrarian. Um, uh, well, we built things, but we also used, agriculture. That was the primary engine.
So this is after the 1790 Sundry Act.
17. This is dated 17. It's right at that time, 1789. But
Wow.
but they were not able to pay those taxes, and they wanted to go upon the high seas doing commerce, and we would commandeer their ships. It's uh put in this movie called The Longships or The Longboats, and who was in that movie? Um, wow, I can't. Sidney Poitier. If you look up that movie, it talks about that. That's where that little red Corvette. Um, that's what he's talking about. If you see any of the Masonic parades, they'll have these little cars, these little red Corvettes. That's based on the Moorish ships, and we would commandeer their ships when they try to do trade upon the high seas. All right, because they were supposed to be paying tithes to the Moroccan emperor. So I just wanted to put that out there. Um,
Have
that
you ever seen anything about Moorish ship, possibly a pirate ship, that was crashed off the coast of Delaware.
That would be the right place, but no, I haven't seen, because you're talking about the Lenape Moors up there, the
Hmm.
Delaware
Because
Moors.
that's um it's disputed. People don't really know if that happened. The Swedish people that had settlements up there said it happened, and yet there were other people up there that were dark skinned with straight hair, and they may be conflating them with these other types of Indians that are not Siberian origin, because they said that these sailors crashed off the coast of Delaware and just blended in with these two different Native American tribes, uh, Black Americans that were not enslaved, and Swedish people, but we never knew if that was true because it was disputed. One,
Right.
one group of people says, no, it's just a bunch of straight haired Indians over there, and mixed people that now are brown with straight hair because of the mixing, and it's not an actual person from Iberia.
Very interesting, Wanda.
Well, see, the way that we're taught history, unfortunately, is in a confounded way. It's not just the language, but there's a 500-year gap between the Gregorian calendar and the Julian calendar, and in that gap expanse in that gap is our enslavement, and that's where they
Right. The Gregorian calendar is a weapon. He's right about this. It makes no sense. It's skewed. It takes you out of the sequences of nature.
hmm
Yeah, but go ahead. I didn't want to
well
steal your thunder. I just want to say you're telling the truth on that.
okay, and see, that's why I had to come up and say it, because look, I'm not against people in the lodge, but like I said, what I come from is something that was given to them. So I understand where he's like, he didn't necessarily say anything negative, but he may not be able to speak as freely as I can. And what they did is they changed up from down, from east to west. Like, even when you go
Right.
on the highway, you have to go east before you go west if you pay attention the way the loops are set up. They do it with everything. You have to go south before you
Interesting.
go north. Okay. They confound everything is opposite. Everything is opposite, and that is the root of Satanism.
Yeah, it's inverse. It's
It's
the inverse.
inverse. So there were straight hair. There were actually dark skinned, straight hair, more pygmy like. We say like what do you call this like what they call them, Australasian or something like that type of people.
Austronesian,
Type
yes,
of people in South
Austronesian.
America, and these are these mound builder type people. They existed here at the same time that there was the kingdom and the empire of Morocco, where they was going and doing all of this trade and some of these terrible things of conquering and conquest and pimping other people's women and all of that type of stuff that was happening on the kingdom and empire level. But that letter lets you know the position of this groveling um, general who wants to start a new nation and is talking about paying tithes to the emperor of Morocco, who dies. If you look at the date that he dies, this letter was never returned, and then they just went crazy on us. So I wanted to fill in that piece there. But America was built on ancient, sacred, astronomic, and sacred spiritual science.
Hmm.
But the key to it, this is the key, and I'll land my plane here. When I talked the other day about the Ogdoad, but more specifically the 24 elders, 12 of them are positive, or seraphim, or benevolent beings. 12 of them are malevolent beings.
12 and 12.
Okay, and the thing is, we're have you ever heard of Majestic 12,
Oh yeah.
Professor Allen?
Yes, sir.
That's what that 12 is. Why the number 12, right? That's the Majestic 12. Okay.
So hold on. You talking about with Forrest James Forrestal?
I'm not sure what
The Majestic 12, and this is about to get deep, but the Majestic 12 were a group of people, a council Oh man, this guy's he's opening some real deep cans of worms. So, ladies and gentlemen, what I'm saying may be classified, but I'm not saying this off a classified document that I've seen myself. So, allegedly, in 1945, when we start around 1945, when we start detonating nuclear weapons, the energy release from nuclear weapons got the attention of some visitors that were from far away. And these visitors allegedly showed up, and I think it was Eglin Air Force Base. They showed up and landed and wanted to speak with leaders, like literally take me to your leader. Well, allegedly, a council was put together of the top leadership in America. James Forrestal, a very well, highly decorated Navy captain from World War II, was part of it. I think Eisenhower. It was real high brass people. Um, there's rumored that General Patton was part of it. But anyway, this council of 12 men were to met with these visitors and discussed. Oh, this shit about to get deep as fuck. And discussed negotiations because the visitors wanted to dismantle nuclear weapons and they wanted some type of promise that we wouldn't use nuclear weapons again. Um, because something that had to do with the release of energy was interfering with their equipment or whatnot. Some say that a nuclear test um, caused a visitor's craft to lose its guidance system, go haywire, and it crashed. And that's where the Roswell crash came from. Got it? Because you think about it, the Roswell crash was in New Mexico. Where's Los Alamos? It's in New Mexico where they tested Trinity 1, the nuclear weapon. It makes sense to me. Well, there are people still out there on a Roswell site finding little shrouds, little shards of metal that when you put it up on an
Mhm.
electron microscope, they don't know what the fuck it is. They're like, what is this? I'm talking about physicists, PhDs. They don't know what it is. Um, can't explain it. Unknown origin. Well,
So
anyway,
they're mad because they couldn't fly around without issues
the visitors.
and complained about it. And complained about it.
Well, yes, yeah, yes, Wani. I landed at Eglin in Florida.
They
What?
got a lot of nerve.
Well, check this out, y'all. The visitors wanted to make a deal with the United States so that we would stop using weapons and nuclear weapons. And allegedly, the United States leadership said, "We'll stop using nuclear weapons if you show us your technology." This is the Majestic 12 making these deals with the visitors. And the visitors said no to these 12 white men because these white men were not spiritually developed enough to handle the technology, but black men were.
You got it.
Yeah.
You got it. And the last thing I'll just say that and I'm not giving away when I say this stuff. I, one, I don't know all, but the things that I do know, I'm not giving away any technical like super secret. I wouldn't do that. It wouldn't even make sense, some of the stuff I understand. But I'll leave you with this. Anything that says north or new, but specifically north, that's where the hidden jewels are hidden. Anything that has the word north on it.
Norse or North?
North America.
Oh,
North Star.
huh. That's where something's hidden. Interesting. Okay.
North Korea.
Oh,
North. See the pattern.
that's very interesting. I'm gonna keep that in mind. Well, James Forrestal, the reason why I brought him up, he was a member of. There were Majestic 12 was split on telling the American people and not telling. The majority of Majestic 12 said we're going to keep this away from the American people, but there were several people in Majestic 12 that said the American people have a right to know. One of which was James Forrestal. Another one was General George Patton. James Forrestal, once he said, "I'm gonna let the American people know," was visited by a psychiatrist who immediately declared him to be insane, took him to the top of Walter Reed Hospital in Washington, D.C., and James Forrestal allegedly jumped out the top floor to commit suicide. Only problem was his thumbs were broken, like he was trying to fight somebody. His brother got hold of his diary, and his diary was taken from his brother and classified while I was at. General George S. Patton, a military hero and Army commander, died mysteriously in a car crash. I mean, it's some hot mess. And allegedly, that Majestic 12 issue is what got Kennedy killed. Kennedy was going to let us know, and it wasn't in the stars for him to let us know. Whole lot going on. Y'all done got quiet on me.
No, housing is
Go
next.
ahead, Hausen.
Yeah, I'm kind of. Oh, good evening, everyone.
Good evening, brother. What's up?
Wani, Shani,
I mean,
everybody.
you
I'm
was talking
like,
about aliens.
yeah. I'm bugging right. Y'all literally got me bugging right now. Like, you know how white guys are saying, like, dude, what are you talking about? But then again, I never thought that we were alone. Period. Ever since I was little, I never thought that. You know. But anyway, bringing it back up here to what's her name? Zoe. How you pronounce her last name, Wani?
Zaldana, I guess.
Yeah, Zaldana.
Zaldana.
Yeah, and all the other ones. But she she really performed when she says I'm Dominican, and I'm the first Dominican this, I'm the first Dominican that. It's okay. You got that? And I'm basically all right, let me stop for 1 minute. You got a lot of it was one comment, guys. He says, uh, what did he say? He said, I'm getting more racist comments from black people than I am from white people. Did you see that post, Wani?
I've seen several of them.
And this was today.
Mexicans are going in on her,
Yes, they are.
and they're taking it like we're jealous. But I do understand the complaint where they said basically, damned if you do, damned if you don't, because you have New York running around saying everybody's black. Just because they have a suntan, they're probably chasing white people around telling them they're black. And then you have the delineation um, movement that is saying, no, 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 we can't continue to do that because if we do, we'll erase our own ethnicity. We'll be the only people on earth without an ethnicity, and that's impossible. So we're just self defense, defending
Yes.
ourselves. It's one thing if, some random Jamaican person comes over and we take him under our wing and say, hey, yeah, you're black too. Have a nice day. But it's a whole nother thing if 1.3 billion people come over and we don't have that big of wings. So
Yeah,
we can't take all those people under our wings.
we're not feeding nobody no more. We're not inviting them to the cookout. It's over. That's done. What we have to do is we have to let our peoples know that the cookouts are closed.
Cookouts are closed. Yes, sir.
Yeah, they just closed. That's across the board because you know you have this thing. Immigrants conveniently black. They use it all the time when it's convenient for them. But once they under that other society, they tap dance and oh, I hate them. Oh, they talk about us like a dog when they're among them, the jobs and everything, whatever the case may be. So at the end of the day, have your little fun now. It's a new sheriff in town, and we're gonna expose you guys, and we're not coming to help you. At the end of the day, I land my plane.
I appreciate.
One
Go
thing,
ahead, one.
I was just going to say one thing. Uh, I like the fact that there's been a stink made about it. I want white people to see this because they like to be dense. When I'm talking to them about, or I just had a conversation with a woman. at the Wall Street Journal, she tried to pretend like she didn't get things. Um, and I laid it out very clearly. I said, "You're English. If you go over to Poland, do you become Polish?" And she was like, No." And I said, "Then why do you think an African coming over here becomes a black American?" But her view is that we're just a big dumping ground, like a prostitute with their legs wide open. Anybody can jump in.
Right. A melting
That's
pot.
her attitude. It's racism.
And Ronnie, one more thing. And the only reason why that was said is because they feel it's not affecting them. But at the end of the day, it's going to start affecting a lot of people.
It certainly
At the end of
is.
the day. And one more thing when it comes to the sports, I felt that Barry Bonds, when Barry Bonds left baseball, that's when baseball went down.
Yep.
Facts.
It's like it's like when Michael Jordan left basketball. Well, we had
Yep.
LeBron James,
It
but
was
when
a
Michael
drop.
Jordan left basketball, the the value and the culture stayed intact. Now you got a bunch of babies in the basketball, and it's bad. Everything that these people try to do towards black people, you know what happens? It backfires on
Every
them.
time.
It literally backfires. Baseball is horrible.
Yeah, who watches baseball?
Well, hold on, time out. I watch it when it comes to the playoff. Once the pennant race starts playing, that's when I watch it. I mean, I put my little picks in, my little 20 picks. If I hit, I hit. But that's another story. But baseball and got so dry because the people that they allowed into playing baseball, they have no swagger when it comes to being American because they not American.
They're not legendary players.
Yes, they come from they come from all these South American countries. I mean, I know they trying to make a living and stuff, but once once baseball's over, you don't see them in commercials. They back in their country eating rice and beans. Even with the European players that's playing basketball now, they look scrawny, like they look horrible. They not in the gym. They not nothing. And this is what we accept when it comes to basketball. Like it's so horrible, but it's going to backfire on them because viewership is down when it comes to the NBA as of right now. Only one they didn't touch yet is football.
Well, nobody wants to see all
Well,
that
they don't.
shooting that they do now. Nobody wants to see that.
They
No, I
don't
want
mind shooting themselves in the foot and destroying things just to get back at us. They really
absolutely
don't mind. It's very mind boggling. They're losing billions of dollars doing this to sports. Nobody wants to see Manute Bowles' bony, rickety looking ass leaning up against the basket, just putting the basket in the hoop. That's not athletic. Thank you
right.
very much.
Neely Fuller, what do you
Anybody
say?
anybody can get some tall person with bony
Yeah,
legs from Sudan or wherever the hell he was from to stand up there 9 feet tall.
yeah.
How is that athletic?
It's horrible, and I'm gonna close with this. Neely Fuller says what? They take both sides of the conversation. When you said that they will destroy something just to get at us.
They'll destroy themselves just to get at us.
Yes, but it just definitely backfired, and I land my plane. Thank you for having me share.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
enjoyed
Appreciate you,
it.
Professor.
The whole
I
point
appreciate you,
is
brother.
athleticism. If someone's just going to, if you could just find some freakishly tall person that can just walk up to the basket, what is the point of having slam dunks? I mean, it just, that was horrible. And I don't ever want to see any of that slop they're dragging out of Africa again. Freakishly tall people. They don't have any kind of sports legends. And the only time they can even be mediocre or decent is if they're on a team with all black Americans being whipped into shape.
Mm.
Yeah,
They're
but
not
Ronnie,
doing it on their own.
Most of the players that you describing, they not from down there in Africa. They coming from out of Europe.
Hmm.
Oh, well,
They all coming from out of Europe.
you mean talking about the Croatians and the whatever the other ones
Yeah,
are.
I mean, you got a couple of good
Vladi
shooting
Divac
players that,
types.
yeah, well, yes, but Ronnie Divock, he banged. He was down. He was down in the middle banging.
Mm-hmm.
You would love Joy watching him play because he was a
Yeah.
rough player. These other players are soft.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't.
What's
Like
the
I'm
guy they
saying,
just got from the young boy that
I
played?
don't
What's
know.
his name? The
I don't
tall.
watch right now.
What's his name?
I don't even
The
We've
like.
guy.
had
Yeah.
we've had some good, of course, we've had some good white players and good European players,
Yes.
but I don't want to see anybody from any part of the world that's not athletic. That's my one of my uh, feelings
Pet
is that they
pet
try to
peeve.
find
That's
these
one of your pet peeves.
freakishly tall goofballs that are not even athletically playing the game. That's problem number one. Problem number two, it does take away from the swag because we have swag. So I don't want all these people being forced to learn how to be a basketball player when they don't even have a lineage of playing that sport. They
Hmm.
need to develop Americans. It's an American sport.
Right.
One, you got OKC. They like leading in basketball NBA right now, and every one of the players is from out the country. Even the black players, they from Canada.
That's
Why?
craziness.
Yeah, but they don't. They
Oh,
don't
because they're
really.
cheap.
No, they getting paid money, but it is that they don't. It's not any like what's the word you just used? They don't have no swagger.
No, and because of it, people are the reason that we got attention in the first place is because we were cracking balls out of the park in the Negro leagues. It was so exciting. I mean, I don't think we know how big the Negro leagues were because
Mm.
Wani, they
I've
just
seen
accepted
pictures of
Wani.
them.
They just listen. Baseball, the American League Baseball, just accepted the records of the Negro League last year. They
Yes, I
just
saw
accepted
that.
them, but we know what that was about. You know what I'm saying?
Do you know there was a white man on the Negro leagues?
No, I did not.
Yeah,
Yeah,
one white guy.
It probably was a few of them, and it was well known that what's the name loved to play with them, Babe Ruth.
He looked
Babe Ruth went
suspect.
down there and played
He's
with them.
very suspect
Yeah,
looking
he
now. I
looked a
don't
little
know.
black.
Little Rachel Dolezal
yeah, yeah.
going
What,
They
on.
what
said
was he a
they
mulatto?
said he was black.
Well, I looked up his background and it doesn't show that he would be of African descent, but you never know what those mommies have done. You never know what your mama did.
Right, you never know. You never question mommy.
Huh.
I like
No, you
that.
do question them, but you don't know what they did.
What? Mama's baby daddies, maybe.
Yeah.
I didn't say you don't question them.
I mean,
Look,
he was
you
born during the wartime.
yeah, you find out 20
Yeah.
you find out 20, 30 years later that, that's not your daddy. I
And
mean,
you know, he just laughed about it. They straight up asked him. They asked him to his face and he just laughed like, I don't know. I don't want to talk about
And Babe Ruth had some swag too, pointing and shit.
it.
And, and then uh, you know
Very
he
suspect.
used to chill with Jack Johnson.
Mm.
and
Very
one more thing,
suspect.
Wani, don't you know they just brought what's the name back into the spotlight, and then guess
Who?
where they put him at? In basketball. Because
Who?
Barry Bonds, they just put him back on TV.
Oh, what's he doing?
Being that they had the All-Star game in San Francisco. He's from there. He represents San Francisco. So he was down there as being a coach for the All Star
Oh, I
team.
see.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, that was one of the baddest mans in baseball. His first time playing in Yankee Stadium, the first pitch right out the park. They don't like talking about that. That was my man, Barry Bonds. And another thing is they mad that he holds the baseball records. Now they saying he's suspect because he was doping this that. But hey, listen, at the end of the day, you got to put him in the Hall of Fame. Even if you don't, he's still recognized as the greatest baseball player in the world.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're about to close the space. We're gonna go ahead and get
What about Sway
yeah,
Me?
that's why I was going
Can you
straight to
sway me?
I was going straight to Sway Me.
Oh,
Go
good
ahead, Sway
evening.
Me. What's
Well,
on your mind?
good evening, or
Good evening.
almost about to be good night, right?
I
Uh,
can't hear you.
oh, hold on. Let me take my headphones off. Hold on.
It's good morning, isn't it?
Okay, is this better?
Yeah.
Yes.
Hey.
Okay, perfect. So I was saying good evening or good night. We're about to close out, but um I just wanted to say I was in another space earlier and it dawned on me about I had made a statement initially about Zoe Zaldana. We had talked about certain individuals coming in to the country and building off of our ancestors and being successful, right? We giving them opportunities and things of that nature, and they never really thank us, right? Or even recognize us and the work that we've done previously. So but I realized Dominicans have always delineated and said me no black, right?
Right.
And so I thought about my experience with a young lady I worked with, and we befriended each other. I can't really say that it was really friends, but in a way, at that time, we were befriending one another. And I come to find out she was Dominican, and she didn't like or want me to meet her family because she was afraid of what they would say and how they would treat me. And then she was also dating at the time, dating a black American male, and was conflicted if she wanted to introduce him to her family. So and living in New York, they used to say that to me all the time. So it makes sense to me, right? And I don't think we should push it in any further, but to recognize how these people are here and they're anti-black. So to even expect them to join us in some way in this fight, or believe that they are allies when they're showing us that they're not. So I think we really need to open our eyes in ways, because it took me a moment. I was like, dang, then I think about it, they've always been anti-black. So nothing has changed, and we have these cultural differences anyway. But besides of that, you all were talking about baseball. I will say that you all don't do you know about Mookie Betts?
Uh-uh.
Okay, Mookie Betts is actually from Nashville, Tennessee, and he is a young black American with a black American wife, and does very well as David Price. So those are some young black men that are playing baseball right now. That Mookie Betts, if you watch the last World Series, he was highlighted for some great catches and balls and things of that nature. um and I watched not too long ago, or maybe it was last year, Reggie Jackson spoke about his experience, Mr. October, in baseball, and how he did attempt to get into operations, and did also wanted to start his own team, or have be in operations at the top of the food chain. I think it was the Yankees um, organization, and they would not allow him. So they definitely shut us out of certain positions. And so I think he was working with the Houston Astros, and they were recruiting more. He was attempting to recruit again more black players. So, and then the last thing I want to say, I want to meet some of them UFOs. I wouldn't mind.
Oh, well.
I don't understand how they can come down
Hey,
here and tell us not to use nuclear weapons, but won't introduce themselves.
hey, sway me. Get my cell phone number.
Okay. I want to see what all kind of technology they got, because I'm ready to progress and elevate. What's going
I'm
on?
with you, sis.
All right, Professor, I'll DM you.
They have big
You got to watch what
foreheads,
you ask
so
for.
Be careful.
Well, wouldn't you like to travel to another universe and see what's going on?
We can.
yes.
Yeah.
You can already do that. You can.
I know out of body and all of that, but I would love to go and check them out and what they're doing. So I'll land. Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Hey, good
Yeah.
night.
Good
Good
night.
night.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I enjoyed a lot. So the question is, what is the one big Negro scam? The one big, in conclusion, the one big Negro scam is a tactic used by diasporic members of the diaspora to claim black when it's convenient to get uh, uh, unearned benefits. Um, but the sad thing about the one big Negro scam is you can jump in and out like Zoe Saldana did with the Oscars last night. Next question is: are immigrants conveniently black? Well, Zoe Saldana was, um, you know, um, it did blackness did wonders for her acting career. But once she got where she was supposed to be, you know, the black card was turned upside down. So, what's the moral of this story? The moral of the story is we need to gatekeep our lineage. We're already halfway there. Dr. Claude Anderson basically said the secret to this game is organization and definition. And we're there. We have a definition. We're foundational Black Americans. Now, last but not least, in conclusion, Dr. Claude Anderson said the next piece of that, and I'm paraphrasing our brother Dr. Claude Anderson, is to get legal status with that word. So we need to get that word. That's what we name ourselves. We
With
have a right.
Friedman.
Freeman. Okay. That's
Yeah,
that's fine.
that's what they're working on.
Freeman works.
The
Just getting.
Friedman word, yes.
Yep, that works for me. Get legal standing with that word, and that word itself, that definition will um define and organize us. Ladies and gentlemen, I enjoyed y'all tonight, and I'm gonna hit the bed right quick, and I
I
will see
think
y'all
Tariq
tomorrow.
started a space. Let me check. Did he?
If he did, that'd be really good timing.
15 cent. Obsessed with. No, my bad.
Okay. Well, we're going to rendezvous on Tariq's space later on tonight. Um, and I will see y'all tomorrow with another hot topic. Wani, you have any last words?
Good night.
All right. Good night, y'all.
Good night, everyone.
Peace out, Housing. Peace out, y'all. Appreciate it, Freeman. Appreciate it, Arthur. I'm Legend, LC, Chris Welson. See you fresh. IGZ. Meet you God, New Black, I'm Black, The General, Original Blood, Miss Parker, Kim, um, Wani, of course, and anybody else I didn't mention. MF Original, FBA Law, Black Lady, Capone, what up? Angela Covington, Willa, Black Idaho, Fred G, The Earth, D, Ivy World Bugger, and many more. I will see y'all tomorrow. Peace out.
Capone, what's up, brother?
What?
Before
Right,
you
Wani?
leave, Professor, before
Uh
you
oh.
guys
I
speak.
was just about to hit in. Okay.
No, I'm just being honorary. I just wanted to stop you, hold you up. But did you guys talk about Chimmy Amanda? She's that Nigerian writer, and she talked about, how Nigerians don't identify with being black.
Oh,
And she didn't find out about being black. And
Maybe
she's
we need a
also,
part two.
that's why I was
yeah, we're,
about.
we're going to need a part
I
two.
fresh. I was about to say, go ahead and DM that issue to me, and we'll incorporate it into tomorrow's space.
Okay, I can do that.
Fresh.
Fresh.
One.
Yeah,
Professor.
that's me. All right. Bye now. See y'all tomorrow.